Connemara, because I was there a couple of weeks ago, a couple of weekends ago, and it's near Letterfrack, and it's overlooking the fjord at Killary. They call it the Killary Fjord. You often hear about Killary Harbour, which is the village, but this is maybe a mile or two away from that, down towards the sea. The purpose of painting this is because, I mean, Ireland, the west of Ireland especially, is an extremely beautiful place, well worth visiting, but often in photographs it comes out quite dull. There's a lot of greenery and everything, and maybe cameras, especially phone cameras, don't pick up all the nuances, and you can't really adjust them very easily, or at least I can't anyway. And besides, photographs always kind of haul you off in this direction of trying to mimic them, to copy them, and I don't think that's a good way of approaching your artwork, because you don't really learn enough from doing that, because the scene never changes in a photograph. The clouds don't move. The lighting doesn't change. You can't feel the wind. You can't sort of feel the sun on your face, or the rain possibly in this situation. So I think it's always best to paint as if you're a child in this circumstance, and I think that's what the post-impressionists did. Van Gogh and Gauguin, for example. Many more of them did that. If you look at a child, with a box of crayons in front of him or her, and a blank sheet of paper, they don't sort of start worrying about the veracity of their image. They'll choose their favourite colours out of the box and just start painting. And I think somehow we've got to get back to that way of thinking, and be very definite about it. So that's what I'm going to paint, and I'll just move on to the palette. Okay. So there we go. There's my palette. There's the colours that I'm going to use. I'm using Griffin Alkids. I really like them, I have to say. I do very much like Griffin Alkids, because they've liquid in them, and they by the end of a painting session, they've already started to sort of just to set just a little bit, and I find that it gets easier to paint as you go on. Whereas oils, sort of true oils, it's easier to end up in a mud fest, I think, with them. I like the Griffin Alkids. They're the brushes I'm going to paint with. There's my solvent, and I'm going to lay out my paint first. Okay, so usual, I always put my paint out in the same place, same order. So there's some white there, titanium white, cadmium yellow pale hue, and let me put that over there. Permanent rose. I've got to get some more of that this weekend. I'm starting to run out here. I need a trip to the art shop. There's some red there. That'll do. Maybe give myself a little bit more. Followed by blue, cobalt blue. Put them there at hand so I can get them if I need them. That's just another cobalt blue there. I'm not going to put any black on my palette this time. I don't think I need it. I didn't need it during the week, and I'm not going to need it now. I am going to put some dioxazine purple, just in case I need it. Not very much, but it might do something for my painting. Okay, and burnt sienna, my go-to earth color for the wash and for drawing. Let's open that up. What else do I need? Oh yes, the substrate, the support. Okay, so there it is. It's a linen board, same as I think I used last week, wasn't it? Let me just check your. Yeah, okay. Right, so the first thing I'm going to do is, even though there's it's not a white canvas, even though it's not. I'm just going to put down a pink because I want to get away from that photograph. I want to have every opportunity to not be hauled down kicking and screaming behind that that photograph. I'm going to use a larger brush actually. The other thing I don't have actually is a rag. I'm going to have to get myself a rag. So this is pure permanent rose with solvent. Or it could have been an orange. You know, an orange works well as well. You could use the burnt sienna as well. That is a nice warm red. But I'm sort of playing. I'm experimenting here. So let me put that to one side. So there we have it. So hang on, just wait while I do this. I'll put that up there. Oh no, not it. So I'm going to start out with a drawing. So halfway, and then I've got the wall, which is, I'm going to have it coming up there like that, down. I'm going to change that a bit because I don't want it to be like the photograph, and I want to make more of the fact that there is a dry stone wall there, and that there is the road, and then we've got the mountains up the top there. And once again, you've got to imagine that you're actually there. I'm going to come down. Move that there, more like that, yeah. Up again, up, and then the mountains in the distance, okay. And then we've got the darks of that stand of trees there, coming up there like that. And then we've got these dry stone walls coming down there. This is where the sheepdogs were doing their work. It's magnificent to watch. Yes, Miles. Yes. Okay, I see it. Now, we've got this body of water here, which is below here. I'm going to put that there. Something like that. And then around there. And then bounded by the wall. And all that is green fields divided up into their little fields there. And then there's some trees there. So we have to channel our inner 5-year-old. Going to come down there like that. Okay, so what I'm going to do first is I'm going to put in the darks. Let's use some so I'm going to paint that there. Just block out that. Remember, it's still an alla prima painting, even though it's sort of more complex than a still life, I suppose. That you're going to try and get the painting in, you know, as close to the same time as you possibly can. So I wanted to make that wall slightly more interesting in the sense that it was kind of curved up, a little bit bockety. Now, other darks include this stand of trees. Okay. So maybe like that. And then we've got that distant one over here. I'm going to wipe down that line there because I didn't want that to be quite like that. So we're going to do the green fields. So some green fields coming up and green areas. Here's one. Here. And every painting, I was talking to my crowd earlier on, every painting has to have a concept. And the concept can be, we're not talking about sort of the meaning of life or anything. All we want is, how are you going to do the painting? What are you going to apply to this this piece of material that you have to make it into what you want it to be? And it could be anything. It could be, I'm going to paint this thing in a low chroma way, so it's kind of lots of greys, or I'm going to paint it in very bright colours, or I'm going to paint it in with a palette knife, or I'm going to paint it in just two colours and white, or what else it could be? I'm going to paint it all in little points like pointillism, or all my strokes are going to be vertical, and that's more or less what I'm going to do. So is that vertical one? I like it. So more green along there. Right. Yeah, I have to keep sort of switching to see what if you put any comments. Let me just see. Is that my elements? Okay. All right. So we've got the body of water is going to reflect this. So whatever I put here is going to reappear here. Okay, so I'm not going to bother with that just yet. So I'm going to add some. Let's make some distant hills. Okay, so here like that. That's very close to the actual the true colour there. So never mind, we can always mess around with that later. And remember, you're standing out in this environment, and the weather might always be as clement as it was when we were here. So you could be rained on. Okay, so sky, nice blue sky. Let's see what we can mix up for a nice blue sky. White, yellow, blue. Yeah, so we'll put the sky in a kind of a green. Now it is picking up some of that pink below it, but I'm not going to dwell on my strokes. I'm not going to start worrying the strokes. So, and I want some of the pink to come through. Just make sure I make up enough. Getting away from that photograph. Make sure I don't sort of tip the canvas off the easel. All right, so now I've got some sky. I can reflect it down there. So that's in there. I forgot a little bit of the green here. I think the aim is to be that kind of Gauguin sort of look, or perhaps even, one of the naive painters, Rousseau, wasn't it? He was one of the naive painters. So he's kind of like post-impressionism, I suppose. Right, so I've got that more or less blocked in. I do want something for that road. I don't want it to be that kind of bluish colour either. So let's put this down here. And at least it'll have some paint on it there. Okay, that we can paint into later. Next thing is I'm going to start putting in some of the stones in that dry stone wall. Let's mix up a colour, a slight purplish, but lighter than the purpley colour that I've got there. Okay, I'll put some stones in, build a wall. You're kind of doing it like a dry stone wall builder might do it, choosing your strokes carefully and putting them in. It's a bit random. The idea is that it's random. And through there, like that. Okay. Now, I'm going to start changing things up a bit. So I'm going to make a green. I am actually making a green this time. So to paint into some of this red. I'm really just feeling my way forward at the moment, because it's not, I'm not doing this in a naturalistic way. So I'm being slightly, I'm not, it may look that I'm painting fast and freely, but I really am sort of paying attention to what I'm doing. Because if I hadn't liked what I put down, I would have stopped doing it. Okay, so we get this kind of grass effect down here. And here. Here I'm going to make it slightly sort of darker. Add a bit of blue and red into that. I mean, the same things apply to this painting as they do to other paintings. For example, the how would you call it, the atmospheric perspective, that still needs to be there, I think. That means, there's a huge body of air between us and those hills, and so they become paler. So you to send them into the background, you make them paler. Okay. So those trees beyond can be cool, a cool sort of green. Put them on top of that there. And it's the hard thing to do is the importance that the painting should be yours. And if you're painting from a photograph, very often it's a frustrating experience, because the painting might not seem as if it's entirely yours. But to do it this way, this naive sort of style, I think it helps. It helps remove that photograph from the issue. Right, what else can I do? So let me grab a greenish colour, maybe a greenish grey even slightly. And that can go into the wall too. We want the wall to be multicoloured, really. Okay. And now I am actually going to go in with a dark before I sort of go too far down the light road with that wall. And I'm going to put in some darks, because there are dark spaces in that wall, because it's not mortared. You can see right through it in places. So the light there's the least amount of light in between those rocks. And it's just a suggestion that there are rocks there. Okay, what shall I do next? I'll do something with that hill, because there's a shadowed side over here. I might lighten that later, and even down here, I've got cameras in front of my face. It's really hard to actually see some things sometimes. There, running across almost at the crown of that hill. Okay, sky again. Some more white. I'm going to make it more blue this time. So I like multicolored skies. I'm not going to go everywhere with this, but I'm starting to build it up. I'll try and judiciously leave in some of the pink, but not too much, just so that you know it's there. Whoops, beg your pardon. I still can sort of shape some of these hills. That's complete sky down there. This kind of takes the chore out of painting, to approach it with a completely different mindset. And I always like to have my brushwork be seen. So I'm not flattening any of the strokes where there's quite a lot of paint on them. I mean, it might happen that they're flattened by a stroke that occurs over it or near it, but it's not my intention. My intention is for my strokes to be seen. And I do, of course, want some of that to appear down here. Okay, so now I'm going to work on some of the darks around the fields again. So, for example, here. Let's see some darks in there. And as usual, the blocks are taking up, they're doing all the hard work, the heavy lifting in the painting. Because all I'm doing is painting small amounts of paint into those blocks now. Put some more around that. I just feel like could do with a bit more variation. Okay, what will I do now? I'm going to go back into those fields again. So it makes a warm green, so yellow, blue, and a bit of red. Allowing the red to peep through, the red underneath, and the pink even in some places. And down here too. Make sure I reach down to the bottom of the canvas. Add some more yellow, and make it a much yellower colour as it comes towards us. And I'm doing most of these sort of vertical strokes at the moment. Slightly redder green in the fields there. I've got to do something about here, which is actually really quite red actually, so I'm going to add bits of green but leave most of it. I'm not really after accuracy. I'm not after you saying, or somebody saying that, oh, where's the hut that's in that field, or something like that. All we're doing is playing. There's a shadow down there, dark. Down here. Okay, back to those walls again. I should say the ones that are in the fields, really. There's one that comes down there like that. There's a dark in there, which is a reflection, I think. Okay. To that road. I'm going to make that bright now. I'm actually doing lateral strokes here, of course, but it seems to invite that rather. And then there should be a grey in there, so I'm just going to mix some of that with the blue. I think it needs a bit of a kind of a light grey. I don't want to make it look like a modern tarmac road. I think that's the idea. Come up into here, put that in. Now I want to sort of suggest some clouds as well, so I'm going to grab some white and I'm going to use a kind of a slightly yellowish ochre mix. I can start putting in some clouds. And allow it to pick up some of the colour underneath actually, I think, because I can always go lighter then afterwards. So now we're starting to get a bit more shape into there. Okay, so now back into the grass. Okay, maybe we could put some green in that. Won't do a bit of harm. So Now, let's go into the mountains for a walk. So I'm going to grab maybe a kind of a light violety purple colour. Let's see if I can put in some variations of hue in these. I don't want to get too technical with the mountains. In there. They really are kind of far away. I just want to emphasize that. Then you've got a light over there. Okay, let's come down, shape those mountains a little bit more. And I don't want to have hard edges on those mountains. Okay, so we've got it's got to look a little bit Irish and hazy. Okay. Now some more details. I think some nice dark blues could do something nice in here. There, we're getting a bit more detail in that wall. Just random little lines suggesting the stone. Okay. Back to the grass here. I'm going to come lighter again. Okay, and some more variation in that field there. And in here. I want some lighter variations in those trees. These are all kind of vertical strokes I'm putting in at the moment. So. Maybe a lighter, cooler green as well. Because all you want to do is give an impression and not bang people over the head with your drawing skills and accuracy. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do now is put in a bit more red, a deep red. I can delineate some of these parts here. Even in that wall, looks nice. I like that. So multicolored everything. Let's go back into the hills. Push them up there a little bit. And that's supposed to be it. Hills there. Clouds again. Now, I love looking at Paul Henry's clouds. They're monumental. I'm sure you know the artist Paul Henry, an American who painted over here in the 19th century. Monumental clouds, beautiful. Got some greenish clouds. So make it very, very light. Light green, put that in. There we go. Okay, and I really do want some dark, so I'm going to grab some of that dioxazine purple, some red, some burnt sienna as well. That'll make a nice dark. We're pushing towards the final parts of this. And down here. Some darks in there, make more of that wall. Little dabs here and there. And I do want to put in some darks to bring this wall more into sharp relief. Remake some more of that. There. Okay. And some light parts to that wall. Need some lights. So this is dioxazine purple and white. And when they were talking about the geology of the two sides of the fjord being different, yet these aren't. These are much darker kind of rock than I would have expected. Certainly not limestone. Anyway, it doesn't seem to be. I'm sure on the Mayo side, yeah, they'd have different. Maybe it's granite on one side and limestone on the other. And I just want to sort of end this by putting in some delineation in red around the hills. Just because it suits the painting, I think. Yeah, up there. I do want to bring some of that sky down there. Maybe the last thing would be, let's do this, since it was the case. There's a few sheep in that field. Maybe we'll put one or two there. Okay. So let me grab this down from here.